Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flick, Hannibal, Season 3, Episode 9, and the woman clothed in the sun, Bibbs, Alonso. Okay, we're getting deep into Red Dragon territory here.
Very much so, yeah. Well, it's interesting because this episode is half Red Dragon stuff and half kind of, I guess we're wrapping up the Abigail Hobbs thing. We just needed to see every single moment of it. I'm a little hazy on why it's still relevant. There's a great bit. We have that scene with Hannibal and Will at the beginning, which is, parts of it are lifted from the original novel Red Dragon, but parts of it they've used before. Oh, yeah. Like the whole, that's that same atrocious aftershave in You Golden Cold. I keep getting it for Christmas. He used that line in like season 1. Oh, wow. So now they have to come up with new shit.
Our routine is getting stale, as Will himself says.
But he has that great line. It was like, I gave you a child, if you recall. And it's just like, ooh, you did, Hannibal. And, but then we had to see all this stuff with Abigail, and it's like, I think we got it.
Maybe they're building to something else?
I would hope so, if that's the case, because I did like how impossibly sexual the whole blood spray bit was.
Well, yeah. Yeah, we get it.
Gift that.
This is a very kind of seems like old times episode. You've got the coroners back, you've got Alana back, you've got Freddie back, you've got.
Well, some of them have been back since the last episode.
Sure, but I mean, but just all in the same hour.
And not only do we have Freddie back, and at the height of her bitchy powers.
Yes.
You know, where it's not only did you
called us murder husbands.
Murder husbands. What a great headline. You can't even be mad at her for that. That's just a great headline. But also, I just like, you took pictures of me, and when I was in the hospital, she was like, I gave you a very generous black box over your junk. You're welcome. That was a nice touch. Freddie in the novel Red Dragon runs into some problems, so we're gonna see how the show handles that, because she's back for a reason, and that's very, very cool. I'm very excited about that.
Wealth certainly agrees with Alana.
Yes, she is looking fab.
Yeah,
her coats are getting better and better, and I didn't think that was possible. She was a very coat-centric character initially, and now she looks like she stepped out of a Tim Burton movie. There's all those vertical white and black stripes. She looks absolutely faboo. Oh God, everything just looks so pretty on this show. I can never get over it.
No, it is. No matter how murdery it gets, it's always art directed to a fairly well. So,
Indeed. All right, I took many a note.
Please.
Okay, so for the fans of the novel, this is the first time that I'm aware of that we've ever actually seen the Dolarhyde family dinners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Frances Dolarhyde was raised in an old folks' home, surrounded by the dying and the decaying and death, and we don't spend too much time on that particular part in the books, but we've never really gotten a lot of flashbacks from him. It's always like voices in his head, or just him explaining it, or just never explaining it before. So we're really getting deep into his business.
Is the blind film developer a character in the book? Or?
Oh, yeah, she's in both the movies, too. In the first film,
really? Wow.
In Manhunter, she's played by Joan Allen. In Red Dragon, she's played by Emily Watson.
Okay, yes.
And obviously, there's that element, again, that universal horror element of the person who's incapable of seeing his monstrousness. But I've always actually had a little trouble with Reba as a character, not because she's a bad character, but because I'm never quite sure how I'm supposed to interpret her. Is she just the person we're supposed to be scared of because she's the potential victim, or is she the person who could save Frances Dolarhyde by accepting him as he is?
Right.
Obviously, we're frightened for her in general, but he really seems to respond to her. She really seems to respond to him. She seems oddly cool. I interviewed Richard Armitage for Fangoria, and one of the things he talked about was, when Dolarhyde enters Reba's house, it may be the first time he's ever stepped into a stranger's house when he wasn't killing them.
Oh yeah, by invitation, right?
Yeah, he's probably never been invited before. And that's a horrifying thought. Like the isolation that he must be feeling is really rich and palpable.
Is it terrible that I can't watch a scene where a blind person invites someone over and serves food without thinking of Gene Hackman in Young Frankenstein?
Well, again, universal horror, because even that goes back to the original,
right.
Yeah, Frankenstein, and but yes, actually, yes, that would have been funny if they had done that. Good job.
What are moral dignity pants, and where can I get a pair?
Which one was the moral dignity pants?
That's what Hannibal says to Alana about Will's testimony, that you put him in his moral dignity pants.
Well, I
Do
think
those have pleats?
I feel like Hannibal feels just very betrayed by Will. God, Hannibal is so wonderfully bitchy in that opening scene. Just so jilted. And Will hasn't seen him for 5 years, and he's coming back for this. I've been the only who
not a call, not a letter.
Yeah, everyone who's come to visit me was pencil lickers. Like that's an oddly yeah, right.
Now, okay, I mean,
yes,
we know that Jack puts Will's ability above Will's sanity.
Yes.
Has he ever been this naked about talking about it with anybody, particularly with Hannibal?
With Hannibal, no, not. I don't think he's ever been that naked. But here's the thing: he hasn't contacted Will for years. Clearly, there have been other things for him to do in that time. This is clearly some sort of desperation move. He needs Will. But I don't know. Maybe the fact that Hannibal is all locked up just gives you that sort of freedom to tell him anything.
Sure.
What are you going to do about it? Escape?
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I'm really fascinated by, more so than I think ever before in this series, the idea of Will getting into Francis Dolarhyde's head is actually a really creepy one, because they've drawn, in just 2 episodes, they've drawn a lot of great parallels.
Sure.
They've shown that, they reminded us that Francis Dolarhyde and Will Graham are both people who feel as though they are damaged goods, who want a family, who want something wholesome of their own. And yet now Will also has to get inside the head of Francis Dolarhyde, whose response is to destroy them. Right. And here he is with his lovely wife and kid, best Molly in the history of the.
I was going to say we have not talked about Nina Arianda yet.
She's great.
She won a Tony a couple years ago for Venus and Fur on stage.
Oh, but she would have been great
on Broadway. Yeah. And she's I think just a terrific actress. And when I saw that she was in the credits, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So she's dynamite. And that's one of those roles that it's hard to not play with a giant target on your back. You know?
It's a tricky role because previous adaptations of this have just been sort of either maybe focusing on the disapproval or the worry. What I love about her take on Molly Graham is that she loves him and that she supports him and that she says, well, this is for the greater good.
Sure.
It's okay. This is who you are. She's so supportive that bad things are going to happen. Whether or not, that's not a spoiler. She's there for a reason.
Sure.
There's a threat maybe someday. And it just makes it that much worse because she seems so cool.
Well, yeah, because so often you get the wife character that's the, what they call the, oh, honey, please don't go out and break the sound barrier tonight. It's always the Freddy, oh, please don't do the thing that you're going to go do that's going to make you the hero.
Or the stereotypical spouse in a lot of cop shows, which was just you knew I was a cop when you married me. I didn't know it might be difficult. It's, and I'm sure that's a thing, but it's in movies we see it so often that it has lost its resonance.
Every time the phone rings, I think it's going to be
that's
a valid thing,
but it's used so often that dramatically it's not as successful as it used to be.
And it renders these female characters into this sash weight that is dragging down this dude who's otherwise supposed to go out there and conquer the world.
Exactly, and that sucks. But she is avoiding that partially through the writing, but also just through strength of her performance. I love. She's got a really dorky sense of humor. I'm feeling Randy, our new dog Randy. He's got huge balls. That was an odd moment.
Yeah, okay. I guess we put a giant black box on them.
Okay, well, there you go. I want to talk a little bit about the ending. I love that in the original novel and all the other movies, Dolarhyde has been writing to Hannibal. Here, they talk about, they've mentioned in the book, even in the first book, they can't listen in on his phone calls to his lawyer.
Right.
So he just figures out a way to call him. That's very clever, actually. We could do some therapy sessions or something here with bring those back.
Well, yeah, totally. Cool. What he did with with Abigail's father, I'm sure, is the same kind of tips and hints from Hannibal.
Ah, yes. Oh, I want to see that. Him hosting his own segment on KCRW or something. Your mental health for today.
The more you know.
I did like the way that, because they've got this thing where you got Will consulting Hannibal, and obviously you want to make that as dramatic as possible, but they managed to basically just take them into Hannibal's memory palace, which they've hinted that Will kind of shares anyway.
Right.
They're murder husbands. They're that close.
They're getting a place together.
Exactly, but they found a really nice way to dramatize it, and I think it works really well.
Yeah.
You know, it's a neat show.
Apparently, this season is airing at a weird time on the calendar where they didn't qualify for the current go-round of Emmy nominations.
Dicks.
So I'm hoping that by next year that hasn't been entirely forgotten, even though this is we're in season 3, they've never gotten a single Emmy nomination.
Not even for like costume design or something. That's
it's like
ridiculous.
The Emmys go deep in terms of the tech categories. And the fact that the score and the cinematography and the art direction and the costumes and all that stuff on this show get ignored is just appalling.
Well, the Emmys have a traditionally problematic history with genre programming.
Sure.
They'll make an exception here or there, but for the most part, I think Buffy the Vampire Slayer got like 2 nominations in its history, and they was lucky to get those.
Yeah, I think Gilmore Girls got 1 for hair or something.
Yeah, exactly. They skew very populist, and it's very frustrating for those of us who don't just watch the 5 shows that everyone talks about.
Right.
I never saw How I Met Your Mother. I wanted to just watch the episode where he met the mother. I was just going to watch that one and save myself the time. I don't know if it was any good. I've seen Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, no, but like there's some wonderful shows out there that are just a little esoteric, I think, for a lot of audiences, and Hannibal is definitely one of them, and it's a really good one.
It's like I could see where if you're a certain kind of Academy of Television, whatever, voter, that, the scripts don't appeal to you or the whatever, but how do you not look at that? Just like I said, the cinematography and the art direction, and I go, this is next level shit here.
Just the stills. You don't even need to see the show if that's your bag. No, this show has just been firing on all cylinders in that particular regard the entire time. Even the slower episodes this season look gorgeous.
Yeah. So all right, so we'll be back to see what they throw at us next week. It's going to be juicy and literally actually, and we'll see you then.
Stay Hannibalin'.